Climate change is the most significant global challenge we face today, and the responsibility to address it falls on the younger generation. Despite the growing need for direct action, there is a gap between the environmental movement and the philosophical belief of veganism. Numerous studies indicate that a reduction in animal-sourced foods will be necessary in the near future to achieve climate action targets such as preventing the Earth from warming beyond 1.5 degrees. This is crucial given that food production significantly contributes to environmental degradation, including biodiversity loss, land and water scarcity, and water pollution. But the emissions from animal agriculture get shadowed by statistics claiming that most greenhouse gas emissions stem from transportation and energy. In an article, it states that 38% of anthropogenic methane emissions are from agriculture. So, is veganism the answer? It's a little complicated. But for those who can, adopting a vegan lifestyle is recommended because studies have concluded that a vegan diet produces the lowest greenhouse gas emissions compared to other diets, promoting a greener and more environmentally friendly way of living. In the US, reducing animal intake by 50% would reduce diet-related greenhouse gas emissions by 35%. These facts were interesting to hear as a student studying in the environmental field, as one can assume that becoming vegan or eating a primarily plant-based diet would be the obvious choice as an environmental advocate or activist. Though, from my experience, that has not been the case. Many of my peers and fellow college students do not label themselves as vegan, and instead partake in an omnivore diet, no matter how environmentally conscious they are. For the documentary, I aim to capture real-life experiences from students at my college to understand the challenges they currently face or might encounter if they were to eliminate or reduce their consumption of animal-sourced foods. The students I spoke to come from different cultures, backgrounds, and academic majors, which gave me a range of perspective. Although none identify as vegan, they either have expressed interest in integrating plant-based dishes into their lives or already have experience in doing so.
My name is Jason Galaviz. I'm a fourth-year linguistics major. I like to consider myself an environmentally conscious person. I do my recycling, and I'm trying to eat less pork or beef, but that's for less environmental reasons and more my partner cannot eat pork or beef, so I'm eating more chicken and fish and veggies. As a kid growing up, I watched far too many documentaries, so there's this one called Forks Over Knives, and I think there was one on Netflix a couple years back that really went in depth into the science behind why agriculture and a bunch of different industries are really polluting everything, and it's just to make a buck. Kind of sucks, especially because it's my parents' generation, and my parents hold a lot of those ideals, and knowing that my future is what they're leaving is kind of sucky. It's not looking good, and the more I talk to my peers, and they're oh, we're gonna have kids, and I'm in this economy kind of thing, not only economically and financially, it's not a good idea, but it's also it's not a feasible world to bring a kid into. I try to, but it's really hard due to cultural reasons, just because I still live with family, so and like I said, my family is we're Latin, so a lot of our diet consists of pork, beef, chicken, we recently got into venison and stuff like that, which like it's all very like heavy in carbon emissions, and it's really hard to break the habit of like no longer eating meat, especially when like all your favorite foods like a birria or like an estofado or like a relleno, like they're all beef and pork, so it's really hard to like break that habit. I have been trying out like new recipes like soy curds instead of beef, again due to my partner. um, and I've been working on it slowly but surely. We're moving our way there. It's definitely something we could do. It's just that my family is dead set on like, no, it has to be the pork shoulder, it has to be the pig belly, like. So my family's very adamant about that. But I definitely think like I could incorporate more stuff for like myself, and like in the future when I like move out and like have my own apartment, it's definitely something I could do. And like I said, like I've been working with my partner to learn different substitution methods. Like I use soy curds instead of asada with a marinade, you know. And then like chicken is like pretty low in carbon emissions relatively. So we like chicken, and yeah, just like generally like slowly trying to move away from that, but like it's a really slow process. Oh, well, my partner is no Hindu, and so he can't have pork or beef for religious purposes, and just that, along with all of the background knowledge of like the carbon emissions and how like all of that is playing into the environment, is definitely like a really big factor as to my like ongoing goal to like reduce pork and beef intake and move more towards like chicken and fish and vegetables. Yeah. I definitely see myself like using, if not like entirely none, like a lot less, like maybe like a piece of tri-tip every couple months, as opposed to like once every 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay. Definitely finding like I said, like different options. Like I've been dying to make like an Impossible Burger, like from scratch. But I just haven't had the time to like actually make food. So, but and then like a lot of Indian cuisine, I really like Indian cuisine. So, a lot of Indian cuisine is just veggies, fish or chicken. So it's like a lot easier to make that at home, like on his end. And then a lot of the dishes that I like are easily substitutable. Like I said, like asada is really easily like substituted with soy curds, and like tacos, you can make those out of anything. So chicken's always there. And yeah, so like I think moving forward, like once I move out, it's gonna be a lot easier to just like limit certain things and do like an Impossible Burger instead of like ground beef, or soy curds instead of asada, you know? So, like I said, my family is like my mom's favorite dish is something we call relleno. It's just a pork shoulder with like potatoes and carrots, and you like cook that for like 10 hours. But it's a lot of pork, and like it feeds 30 people for like 2 days. And like it's really good. So like finding a way to substitute that is gonna be really hard, especially because a lot of like Latin meals are very like heavy in pork, beef, and like red meat specifically. So like it's really hard to stray away from that, especially when like family culture says just use pork or beef. Why are you using anything else? I tried making tuna burgers, because I found a recipe. We had a shit ton of tuna, And I was like, oh, I want to make 2 burgers. And so I made like a patty for myself. And they were like, ew, what the fuck is that? I was like, it's a tuna burger. And they're like, no, that's gross. And I was like, it's literally just a burger. Like, plain and simple, I don't think anyone's like want for something should be like bigger than their need to like keep the world going, in a sense. If I was a millionaire, I would be like moving so much towards like green stuff, just because it's not just something like an idea that people have anymore. It's a necessity that we need to start doing. I feel like a lot of the issues with doing like a plant-based diet are really hard, especially for like lower income people, just because a lot of like organic foods and like tofu, it's expensive. So like I feel that just having that security to be able to expand like your palate, I guess, to more like environmentally friendly food, as opposed to the like right off the market like Albertsons packaged food. Like I feel like not only culture but also like financial ability / like stability is a big part of why people tend to not be as environmentally friendly. And like my family used to like, we used to live on a ranch, and we had like an acre of like just garden. And like it's really easy to do that. But considering most places don't even have a lawn, especially like in Santa Barbara, and I feel like the inability to have a space to grow things is really detrimental to not only like the environment and the people, but also like people's ability to live more sustainably.
Hello, my name is Jerry, or Hel, and I am a fourth year CCS biology major, and my main interest is in marine biology. Um, yes, I do consider myself an environmentally conscious person. I grew up in the Philippines, so a lot of my upbringing was like it also connects with how we get our food, and my grandparents were also fishermen, and my grandpa specifically was a spearfisher, and I grew up a lot with like, going to the market and like questioning where this food comes from. So yeah, for me it started at a very early age, and I am trying to also have a career in marine biology, and I think sustainability is a very like big or like a very important aspect. Yeah, so actually in high school, I had a well, I wasn't really like, I didn't know about veganism, or like I just didn't know the word veganism until I went to high school in San Francisco. It's not that I didn't, like, I'm not aware of like, having a plant-based like diet, but more of just like the language, I think, I wasn't exposed to in the Philippines. But yeah, so in high school I had a teacher who was very like encouraging of like the vegan lifestyle, and being conscious about where your food comes from too, and like whether this is harming animals or the environment. So I was very inspired by her and actually like tried to transition into veganism, but unfortunately during that time my family was also having a hard time with like financial stuff, and our apartment wasn't very like our kitchen was shared, and it was just like a lot, like our landlord was the one who we shared the kitchen with, and it was just like a very uncomfortable dynamic with our landlord, and so that I was experiencing a lot of like personal barriers with fully transitioning into like veganism, and having a plant-based diet, and I think during that time we were also heavily relying on food that was like from the food bank or like given to us by friends and family, and so I like a lot of it was like, oh, I can't, like, you know, beggars can't be pickers. And so that's why I kind of like I am still very conscious about like where my food comes from, and if I can, I do choose to eat non-meat products, but I'm not fully like vegan or vegetarian. Yeah. Yeah, so I think now it is more accessible or like more attainable for me to have a vegan lifestyle or a diet, or plant-based in general. Wait, is vegan? Yeah, sorry. I'm like, with my apartment, I do have like an accessible kitchen. I think now the biggest thing is just time. I work a lot, I babysit, I house sit, I also do research. I am also a student, and I also live downtown, and so like that commute also, like, I have to take that into consideration. Definitely, yeah. I was thinking, so I'm Filipino, and so a lot of the food from the Philippines is actually like meat heavy, but there are food and like delicacies from the Philippines that are plant-based and are vegan and are like more sustainable, and I think I need to do more, like, personally I need to do more research on that, but it would be very helpful to have like a support system and like, you know, friends who I can talk about this, or like a club that I can, like, you know, go on this like personal research journey on. Try not to have these like excuses, so that I can, because I do also love, like, you know, I love meat, and it's what I grew up with, and some of my like favorite dishes have meat and are not plant-based, and so I think also in the past I have had made recipes that I've learned from my mom that do have meat or like have fish or seafood or something into like more more heavy on vegetables, or even just vegetables. Like lumpia, I love vegetable lumpia, but I grew up eating pork lumpia. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, especially in San Francisco, there's this Filipino restaurant where they serve vegan meals, and like they make Filipino recipes into like, or they use meat substitutes to create Filipino traditional food. So for example, I think it was like adobo, and I think it's like chicken adobo, but they use like durian, or I think it's jackfruit, some kind of fruit, that they marinate with the adobo sauce, and then they serve it, and it actually tastes like chicken, or like tastes like meat. I think they're doing really great, like, you know, like change. And I think, yes, I have big hopes, and like I think we can do it with our generation. Yeah. Personally, I do believe that our future matters more than flavor, and I think with the climate crisis and, you know, like our oceans being more acidic and animals dying in like large scale, you know, rates. I think at some point we're gonna have to be forced into, you know, into actually integrating plant-based meals into our daily lives. This is just my personal view. I don't do research on this, but I think like in, you know, future, if we don't do anything about it, I think it's gonna make the climate crisis much bigger and have, you know, really devastating effects on our environment and other people too.
Food Not Bombs originated as an anti-nuclear activist group in the 80s, aiming to address local needs while protesting the government's prioritization of war funding over essential resources like food and housing. The local chapter emphasizes serving free vegan meals every Sunday at Little Acorn Park, reflecting the belief in avoiding harm to all living beings. They source food responsibly from the local farmers market and buy seasonally to minimize their contributions to greenhouse gases and food waste. Guided by the principles of nonviolence, solidarity, and direct action, the organization highlights the connection between government neglect and the violence against its people. It draws parallels with the inherent violence seen in animal agriculture. I opted out from filming the members of this organization due to respect of their identity and their ideologies. The Dolores House in IV is recognized as the vegan-vegetarian co-op, emphasizing environmentally friendly consumption as it features a garden space and a compost area. Every night, members of the Dolores House gather to eat a vegan dinner prepared by a designated individual. The night of filming, Tori is the chef and will be cooking for roughly 15 people.
So I'm making an eggplant tofu dish, and then roasted some carrots and zucchini with tartar, and then there's just some white rice in the cooker. And then I think once the eggplant tofu come out, I'll probably like stir it all together. And I made this sauce with, what did I put in it? Tamari, since we have some gluten-free in the house, we try to do gluten-free. We do an option every night. If like somebody does pasta, we have to do a gluten-free option. So yes, tamari, gochujang, I think like some sesame oil and some maple syrup. It's very unorganized right now, but we do like greens and carrots and produce here, and then all of the condiments and like sauces there, and a little bit down there too, and then kind of just like miscellaneous, mostly leftovers down there. Up here is our bread, and then over here is like our milk, yogurt, and tofu and tempeh. And then these are what the late plates look like, so I'll just make like a little late plate for whoever needs it tonight, and then you just put their name on it, and yeah.
So loving.
Whatever's there is what you cook with.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Are these like cookies over here, or what is this?
Yeah, I actually made those before dinner. They're not really cookies. I would call them, you know, Katrina and I decided on calling them energy bites because I made them with like some random, I try to do gluten-free for Heidi over there, and we didn't have any oats to do oat flour, and so I just decided to use this like weird muesli mix, like that oatmeal and stuff, but it has like dates, and I usually like to do like a salad, but we don't have any greens right now. We have some in the garden. but not really enough for how many people we have.
So is any of this from the garden or?
I did grab, so not any of this. This is all from the farmer's market.
Okay.
But I did make like a little salad earlier today with some kale from the garden.
Oh.
And I usually pick herbs, like we have mint, and we do rosemary out there. Yeah.
What is it these cups for? Like.
So they're for, like if something, usually cups, unless you have like a distinct cup. Like I usually just use a water bottle. But if you have like, we just have normal cups up here, and so you leave it out, you put your pen on it, so no one knows yours. And then if you have like a plate sitting out that you didn't clean, just put your pen on it. It's like, I'll clean it later. And then we also use it just like for food. It's really my favorite part of this house. Like it deep cleans so many things. It's pretty crazy. Like if you need to clean a big pan, boom. Very nice. And it's funny because everyone's like, you're not gonna eat your dinner? And I'm just like, no. I'm not. I've tasted enough of it.
When asked about a vegan club on campus, a resident from the Dolores house spoke about the club they were in called Advocacy for All Animals. When asked if there was a vegan club on campus, they declared that was the vegan club on campus.
And I think it's really cool to like, it's really cool. I love this house. Like the reason I actually like met her in our club when it used to be a different name, and
I think you would
it was
organize
her. She invited me to come have dinner, and like her and Ted were cooking at. It was a different co-op, but it was at Manly House, and that introduced me to like the whole co-ops group because I knew nothing about it when I came. Yeah, so we belong to the SBSHC, Santa Barbara Student Housing Cooperative, and we're 5 houses in Isla Vista, and basically a cooperative is just a community of people that like work within like a common purpose. So like the mission of our cooperative or nonprofit is to provide low cost housing to students. So everyone that lives at the co-ops is a student, and a lot of times like people go to different houses to find like a community and to like work towards like common things, like common perspectives. Like Pico House is the POC house. We have Newman, which is the queer, like LGBT house. Our house, the Dolores Huerta house, is the Food Justice house. Merton is the what do they call themselves? It's kind of like a religious freedom house. It's like they talk about like it's intras. I can't remember the right word for it, but interfaith. An interfaith house, and then Manly doesn't have it here. But I found out about this house, and I was like, wouldn't that be so cool to live in a house with a meal plan and get like vegan food and like not have like just it's just like I was like that is the dream to be able to do that because like the dining house doesn't have that kind of thing, and I knew that if I lived on my own, I'd have to like make my own food, and I don't have a lot of time for that. And so I ended up getting into, I got to Newton at first, and I was like, please, let me do Dolores, and then these spots open up, and I got in, and I live here, and it's so wonderful, because all of us just like, it's such a wonderful community to like come home to like this every day, like everyone's here to like talk and get along. It's so wonderful to always have like a home cooked meal. Especially because we buy local, we buy organic, like a lot of our food is like very purposeful, and then just like everyone's like learning how to cook for like 20 people. You know, it's like it's a crazy amount of food, but it's really, really cool, and it's so nice to be able to like come home to like home cooked food every day. And I think that like that's like the biggest part of our co-op here, and I'm not really sure about the other ones. They do have meal plans, but they're not plant-based like we are. And I think it's really cool to be able to have that community here. Love doing it. It's so fun.
I was wondering that too. I was like, how is everyone gonna hear it?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
You go through the whole house.
Yeah, you go through the house, and then I can do it again if you want to come with. You go through the house, and then the upstairs just like walk halfway
Oh,
up the
really?
stairs.
So do it.
Yeah, you can do it. We're ringing again.
Bring it!
Ring it.
Yay!
All right, it's happening again, you guys. Dinner.
Dinner!
Sorry, we're doing it again. Then we'll go halfway up. Nice. All right.
They're gonna be like, I heard you the first time.
I know, literally. I'm like, no, I really wanted everyone to know the dinner's ready. Yeah. Yes, of course.
Oh,
Hey. It's so hard to eat that much food, and I'm used to like. It's kind of funny because I went to like a thing where I cooked for 40 people the whole year, and so that was like. Stop it,
Swing in.
A member described how while they were in the club, still eating animal-sourced foods, they mentioned how they felt remorse, though it was from their own internal guilt, as no one was pressuring them about their dietary choices.
I think like I was vegan for almost 6 years, and then I think then my parents, one of their friends had some chickens that they just have in their backyard, and you know they like feed them really well and they hang out with them and they like come in the house and stuff. They're like pets kinda, and they lay eggs.
I feel like it's the same thing.
And I was like,
Yeah, I feel like
initially
it's
just
the
had
same
the
thing.
problem, like I just a problem with the whole animal agriculture or animal like factory farming.
But I feel like I feel like
But then like even those eggs, the yolk is like really orange, like I don't know. It just when you compare it to like a factory farmed egg, you can just like tell the difference. But I wanted to try it out just to see how it felt, like if I felt any different, because sometimes I feel like I would be a little low on energy, so I wasn't. Yeah, I was taking B12, but it was probably just not getting enough like protein in, because I would kind of get sick of tofu. Yeah, and I was doing tempeh and stuff, but I tried eggs from my parents' friend, and it was so gross. Like I was like scared because it had been so long, and I like made them all up. It was weird. It didn't really taste that good, but yeah, I think it was just I was working full time, and it was just like an easy thing for me to do in the morning that I felt like gave me a good amount of energy and like nutrients throughout the day. And I still do eat eggs from time to time, but yeah, I think more it's just like I think it's really I do it because it's easy.
The Wiggles? You're kidding.
It's just like the
I would have loved it if they were.
the ease of like making it versus the output of nutrients that you're getting. Yeah, like smashing up a block of tofu. Yeah, I'll just crack an egg or like scramble it, salt and pepper. But I'm not really down to eat like tofu with salt and
I
pepper.
was to say like this is your vibe. No, I did not go through all of it. I just saw my tofu.
There's probably like 10 or 15 locations.
Yeah, but also at the same time, recently I've been kind of thinking about more just eating like whole foods, like just whole foods that aren't processed, which I feel like,
Mine?
I mean, you can definitely do that
I only
on a
looked at
vegan
the sauce. I
diet
didn't
if
look at the
you're
whole thing.
relying a lot on like
My first one was blue.
lentils,
My favorite
beans.
Yeah?
But some like I don't know, it's hard to say. Sometimes it's hard to tell like what things really are impacting you. But I feel like soy, depending on the soy, messes up my stomach. I feel like I've been becoming a little more aware of things that are like I'm sensitive to. I don't know about an allergy because I'm having it now. I guess this is like organic and pretty wholesome. But yeah, I've been trying to think about just lessening the amount of ingredients that I'm eating.
How to do it. Yes, good. No, you're fine.
I don't know. I feel like I was so strict about it for so long. Like from the day that I decided that I was gonna stop eating all animal products, I was really strict about it and never thought I would eat them again. But like, I think I was curious to see how it would make me feel, to see like how much of a difference it made of like, because I feel like when I was eating vegan towards the end, like I learned how to cook and I felt pretty good. But I figured I got a lot of time ahead of me and I just wanted to try it out just to see like how my body would react, like if it was going to be a super negative or if I was going to feel like really good, and then kind of narrowing it down from there. So I feel like I'm kind of figuring it out. Like a year. Okay, it's been easier to put on like muscle mass, like when I'm working out. Cheese, dairy messes up my stomach for the most part, except for Greek yogurt, but I think that's because it doesn't have lactose in it. I don't know, I still feel like bad eating meat. And sometimes I definitely don't make the best decisions, and it's kind of like surprising to me every time when I check back in because I was so hardcore about it for like such a long amount of time. I will say that like I've had maybe like 2 steaks, I think, and those I have noticed a huge, like it's like super filling. And also, I feel like you get a lot of energy from it, and that was something super noticeable, like immediately, which is interesting.
It was kind of chaotic because
could be like hormone. I don't know the science behind it, but.
And so we both took the train up here. And
yeah,
then
yes.
when we got here, or when we were taking the train up here,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to vegan. And she was like, I'm down. But she doesn't drive now. She's like, if you're willing to drive that much.
Oh wait, she was coming to visiting here.
Yeah, we both came up together.
And then you were like, I want to see her.
I was like, oh my gosh, sure. And she was like, I want to. And so we got back to Dolo. We were here for like 2 hours. I just like cleaned my room and packed, and then we left. And we had no idea.
I think you have the responsibility to.
It was fun.
That's a good question. I think you have the responsibility to. I have the responsibility to think about all of the things that I choose to purchase. Because there, like with all the food that we eat, there's a lot of greenhouse gas emissions associated. And I don't have like the raw data on it, but it seems like the more processed the food is, even if it is vegan, that there's still a lot of environmental factors related to that as far as like chemicals, transporting a bunch of ingredients, and like all of the, just like the transportation process of getting stuff into a factory. I know that like the meat industry contributes a lot to greenhouse gas emissions, especially like the like cow products industry, especially like because of all their farts and their poop, like a lot of methane. I know methane is really bad, like that it really amplifies the greenhouse effect. So yeah, I guess I would say that everyone that's in our department should be thinking about that, because it does align with what we're studying, what we're trying to do.
Doing good for the environment. Their diet is like their actions on
Yeah, I think it's just difficult because there's a lot of conflicting information around the specific emissions or pollution associated with certain kinds of food.
Wait, what was the first one?
Because like even within like people who eat meat and animal products, there's like different levels of associated pollution with like the different grades or the different places you're gonna get that stuff. 'Cause if you're gonna go to the farmer's market and get stuff from a farm and eat your meat that way, obviously that's a lot different than getting a steak from like Costco.
Instagram? I was texting back. Dude, I know. I was like, I recognize.
So yeah, I feel like it's a lot more nuanced
I saw it.
than just being vegan or not
That's
vegan.
her. But
I
you
guess
look a
also
little
for some
different, and
people,
then
just being
I
vegan
don't
is
know.
like won't
Yes,
work
oh my
for
God, stop
them
eating the dinner.
as far as their bodies if they have allergies to certain things. So
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like it's a lot more nuanced than just
That was very fun for me.
eating meat
Yeah.
and not
So,
eating meat and which
you were here
one.
for a while?
It's like not black and white. Which one's better? I think you can point out a lot of industries, regardless of their products.
First year, right?
There's a lot of industries that are very detrimental to the environment. Probably both. I feel like beyond meat and a lot of these like just highly processed foods that are vegan
That's okay, love.
aren't very good. But maybe like just vegetables and
Yeah, I feel like it's
I know like certain beans like almonds take a lot of water.
Okay, we're
There's
gonna
just
go
like
crazy
there's
here,
so
like-
much and I think it's
No,
really
it's good.
overwhelming
I
for a
love
lot of
it.
people
I definitely feel like I need
kind of grapple with that and making decisions because you're just trying to eat, and especially a lot of people if you're like a college student or
So you just
you're
wanna,
working
like,
a lot.
did you-
I don't maybe some people don't have a lot of time to like spend
nice, because
researching
you're
that
in
kind of
the
stuff
group,
and
right?
like reading labels and everything and like
Nice,
looking
perfect.
stuff up to make sure that
Awesome.
every single
I've been
purchase
wanting
that
to go literally ever since the
do
board
is
started. And I was
the
just
most
like,
environmentally friendly. A lot of our decisions have to be out of like
Yeah.
or just
But
necessity.
I might have this week because I don't have any.
Compared to the other local resources, there is an application process to become part of the co-op. A resource on campus found in the University Center is the AS Food Bank. It's funded by student fees, making it essentially free for all students to access food and personal hygiene items, as well as diapers, formula, and wipes. There is an initial registration form, but after that, students simply sign in on a device by the door before each visit. The students who run the food bank are friendly, welcoming, and will gladly give a tour to those who are new to give a sense of what is available. There is also a seed bank, which gives out pots and soils to help jumpstart students' personal gardens. They recommend to bring your own bag and take a snack after each visit. Thank you.